Step five, mental health. Retirement in this perilous journey called retirement, if you will. Sometimes these golden years don't feel so golden. There's not a lot of luster. And one of the challenges that we have in the retirement framework is, especially when retirement was first introduced, people didn't go into it with any preparations. And so they would get to that stage where they were no longer going to work and they don't have a purpose, right? They don't even have an identity. They don't really know what to do. And we were finding that the mortality rate was incredibly harmful. People were passing away very soon after retirement. And what the researchers discovered was that the primary purpose for people passing away was they didn't have a reason to live. Um, you've no doubt heard of like a husband passes away or a wife passes away, and the spouse just has no purpose anymore and they just give up. And so then they pass away. There's no maladies, there's no reason for dying. So they just call it natural causes. Well, mental health, as mentioned before, is the aggressive avoidance of discomfort. Well, a lot of the things that we're talking about in this process is a little bit uncomfortable because we're pushing you to do things that you actually want to do so you can be happy and experience joy and well-being, but that we really haven't talked about before. You don't learn this in school, you don't talk about this at work as a general rule, and financial planners really just talk about money. Well, this is a whole different approach. It's a mindset that's trying to get you to the point where when you get up in the morning in the retirement years, it's like, where has this been my whole life? We're writing a whole new book, if you will. And we've talked about the first half and second half of lives. Well, and then if you go back to the yardstick, you've got 60 years of prep work. So the first 30 is you get to make a ton of mistakes and you're processing trauma. You're just trying to stay alive, right? You're trying to survive. And then the next 30 years, the entire purpose is to make as much money as you can, raise the children, come out of this in a better position. So the remaining 30 years, just using 90 years as a life expectancy as an average, is fun. Really, it's just fun that you enjoy getting up. You have all sorts of things that you get to do. And notice the term get to do, not have to do. You don't need to go golfing. You don't need to take a cruise. You don't need to go to your card game tonight, but you can and you want to. So, what are some things that you can do to keep your mind active and alert? So, go ahead and get to the workbook, answer that question. There's going to be a lot of information that we're providing you, especially when the book comes out. So I don't know if I mentioned it before, but there is a book coming out on this that will supplement a lot of the things that we're talking about. Because the next step we're going to talk about is leisure activities. But in the mental side of things, just a couple things to consider. Are you reading constantly? If not reading, are you listening? Are you constantly learning something? Is there an intent to everything that you do? Even going on a date with your spouse, is there an intent to it? Is there a purpose? You can learn to do something constantly. Sudoku, that's why it's so popular because it keeps the mind moving. There's no such thing as you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And the science that we were once told that you stop learning after age 30 has been debunked years and years ago. We know the construct of neuroplasticity. We know that when we learn new things, our neurons grow, they expand, we create them. And if we continue to do certain things over and over again, neurons that fire together, wire together, that's called a new habit. And we can do habit stacking from James Clear book, Atomic Habits. There's so many advantages to getting into these golden years moving forward that we want to share with you simply because this is the time to enjoy it. Not to mention, you've been having these bonus videos throughout the entire course. How do we connect with the ones we love the most? y- Being a parent to me was really enjoyable. Some people don't always have that joy. We really did enjoy raising our five boys, but having 15 grandchildren is kind of like the icing on the cake. That's where the fun is. But how do we connect with those grandchildren? And we reconnect with our children if maybe the relationship was a bit rocky, or there was some time that you went between seeing them because someone was offended or upset? What about building those relationships? Working on those kinds of areas enhances one's mental health, slows, if not interrupts, the aging process. All right. Thanks for listening on this one. Stay tuned. We're going to be doing the leisure activities in the next video.